Good evening, everyone. This is Dana from NexGen, and I am here with my esteemed colleague, Damon Holland from Holland's Homes Team. Now, Holland Homes Team has been sponsoring our So You Want to Buy a House series. So today, Damon is going to be talking about what happens when right before you get the keys to your new home. So just sit back, relax, take notes, and don't forget to like, comment, and share and subscribe. And we are live this evening, so feel free to put your comments in the chat and we will address them as necessary. Damon, thank you so much for agreeing to do this talk with us today. So I will turn the floor over to you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for the intro. Good evening, friends and family. How everybody doing out there? Like Daniel said, we're going to get into a little discussed topic. It's brought up sometimes, not talked about too much, but that kind of that space right before you get your keys, right before um, you finish all your contingencies, and I'm gonna go back and talk about contingencies, but right after you finish all your contingencies, but you're waiting to close. It's a little gap of space in there sometimes that still got some tasks you need to do, but like I said, it's not discussed all the time. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And like I said, I'm gonna go back and forth in the process just so I can summarize everything and bring everything together, so you can see it as a bigger picture. So, like I said before, the question is the topic, the focus is before you get your keys. So before you get your keys, there's that time where you're finished all your contingencies, and all your contingencies are what you and that seller agreed upon during the process. So if you have been following along and you checked out some of our buyer seminars videos, if you haven't, go back and check those out too, because I'm gonna briefly touch on some of those. Um, I always talk about the buying process in three phases. Phase one is the buyer and seller agreeing on paper, meaning you're agreeing to the terms on paper. You're agreeing to the price, you're agreeing to the closing date, and you're agreeing to contingencies. What are the contingencies? Contingencies are normally the inspection, the appraisal, and probably your termite inspection too. But those are three main contingencies that you and that seller are agreeing to. So that's phase one, agreeing on paper. Phase two is the inspection process. That's, like I said, that's one of your contingencies. Getting the inspection done and talking about who's going to fix what. Phase three is the appraisal. And once the appraisal comes back, that's another negotiating point. But those are your main three phases, and those are your biggest phases in the purchase of the home, in the transaction too. Um, so back to contingencies. Once all your contingencies are complete, what we just talked about, the inspection, the appraisal, um, those are your big ticket items. Once those are complete, once those are satisfied, it's been whoever was supposed to fix their side of the inspections has been fixed. The appraisal is back from the lender. All that is taken care of. All that is agreed to. Now, this is the point we're at right now. So one of the things you definitely need to do is, and your realtor will definitely remind you of this stuff too, utilities. If you're on the buying side, you're ready to go ahead and schedule your utilities to be changed over in your name, probably a day of closing, the same day. Because right now, like I said, everything looks good. You completed all three of those phases, and everything is on board, on track to close on time on that closing date. So you go ahead and start looking at your utilities, getting all your utilities changed over. Power, gas, water, all that good stuff. Definitely find out the trash route, cable, anything as far as utilities. You definitely want to check that out. Um, Next thing you definitely want to look at, home warranty. If you got a home warranty, make sure all that paperwork is signed, sealed, and delivered so your home warranty can kick in um, on time like it's supposed to. That's another big one. Um, and then also your at that time your realtor's going to schedule your final walkthrough. Final walkthrough, you want to do it. Let's say you have a closing in the afternoon. You can do it the same day. You can do it that morning. You do your final walkthrough the morning of, right before your closing. If you got an early closing in the day, 8, 9 o'clock, you may want to do it the evening before. You want to do it as close as possible to your closing, so you can go in there and you actually see the house, you actually see what you're about to go sign for at closing. So that is another big step that's has to be done also. Um, Another one is around this time, probably 2 to 3 days out, your closing attorney, they're going to send you your seller's disclosure. And what it is, it's a broken down, itemized list of both sides, the buyer and the seller side, who paid for what, all the fees and charges that were paid for. You and your realtor will get that. Both of y'all can definitely go over that. If you have any questions, you ask your realtor, or you can ask the closing attorney, um, just in case you see something that you're not familiar with, or you have any questions. That is a big thing. Like I said, the closing attorney, you send it out 3 days before. That way they can catch any mistakes, catch anything that needs to be on there or shouldn't be on there before you come to the closing table. But when you come to the closing table, pretty much all you want to do is sign, sign, sign. You sign a lot of paperwork. Um, Talk about the walkthrough, the seller disclosure, wiring funds for closing. This comes directly from the closing attorneys. They will send you a set of instructions of who to send it to, how, what, who, where, when, where, and why. It comes directly from the attorneys, and this is very important because there's a lot of wire fraud out there. There's a lot of different ways that people scam, and they intercept different email, and tell you to send it to somebody else or send it to a different person. So there's always scams out there. There's always stuff going on. So definitely keep in close contact with your closing attorneys. Once you get that email, you can call and confirm. Say, hey, did y'all send me this email? Different things like that. But those wiring instructions are definitely important. Make sure that the funds go to the correct person or the correct closing attorneys on time also. Wiring instructions. Definitely attending closing. Sometimes people's schedule change. You may not be able to attend closing. You may need to change the closing date. That's very important because some of the fees are calculated on a daily basis, especially as far as taxes and stuff like that. So if you push the closing date left or right, all that stuff has to be recalculated. So you definitely want to try to make time for that closing date that you agreed to months ago. So that's another big thing. Um, and then, like I said, once you are at the closing table, you're doing a lot of signing. It's definitely happy times because you are about to get those keys, about to become a homeowner. As far as realtors, we're there to we may witness, sign a couple paperwork as far as witness, but we're there to take pictures, laugh, and make jokes. That's about it. But that kind of sums up for the focus was today. Like I said, I talked about getting utilities in your name. We talked about the home warranty. We talked about final walkthroughs, why you want to do a final walkthrough. We talked about reviewing your closing disclosure, wiring instructions, and definitely attending the closing. Those are a lot of, I'm not going to say they get overlooked, but we tend not to talk about them because they're kind of smaller things. The big things we do talk about are the inspections. We talk about the appraisals. We talk about the buyer and seller agreeing on the paperwork, on what's written, the terms and contingencies. Those are a lot of the big things that I always talk about, especially in the other videos, the buyer seminars. But this section right here, we kind of glaze over because all of the big stuff are done. So that's what brought up this topic. That's why we're here today talking about this. And you got any other questions? You have any other questions, Dana?
Yes, thank you. That is really good stuff. I really appreciate it. A couple of things that I was thinking about while you were talking, because I was writing notes, is in addition to the utilities that we have to make sure are transferred into our name, I also was thinking about the homeowner's insurance. And I remember that the homeowner's insurance didn't come to my old address. It actually was going to the new address. I've been noticing that. So homeowners insurance is like one of the requirements of not only the mortgage company if you have a mortgage, but I think there's also something real that you want to get as soon as possible. You want to select your not, and this is different from the home warranty. This is
Correct.
homeowners insurance. So that's two different things. And then something else that you talked about that I think that people don't talk about enough. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This is in terms of the wire fraud situation, because I remember getting information from the real estate agent and also from the closing attorney about wire fraud. Now, is the mortgage company going to be the one doing the wiring to the title company if you have a mortgage? That I don't remember.
So the closing attorneys, they are acting as the middleman. They're going to get the information from you from your mortgage company so they can get the funds and then pay off your mortgage. And they're also going to they're collecting funds from everybody. I put it that way. They're collecting funds from everybody, and they're also dispersing funds where it needs to go to. Sometimes on the buyer side and the seller side, they have closing costs to pay, so they have to wire certain funds in so the closing attorney can disperse everything out where it needs to
Okay,
go.
okay. All right, so that's in addition to, because I think that when I went to the credit union or the bank to do the wiring, I actually took the paperwork that the closing attorney sent to me, and the bank actually, I think they actually checked to make sure. Now, what was very helpful in my case was that I was wiring to we at the bank, the closing attorney and I had the same bank. So that worked out nicely. So we wanted to make sure
Hmm.
it's going to who it needed to be go to. Because if you wire it to the wrong person accidentally or what have you, good luck trying to get that money back. I've heard a lot of horror stories about people wiring money not to where it was supposed to go. So we could not talk about that
Absolutely.
enough. And I think that's one of the paperwork that you sent to me. For those that don't know it, Damon was my real estate agent for my very first funds transaction. Really, you made it so smooth for me, and I appreciate that. But you could not. I mean, more than one time you told me make sure that the funds are wired to the appropriate person, so that was very helpful. Another thing that I heard you talk about was the walkthrough. And even if you, now this is my experience with a new build, when you are doing the walkthrough for your property, walk through everything. The last time I did
Absolutely.
a walkthrough, it happened to be when it was raining. And the problem with the property was on the outside, that that I didn't go outside and walk around and look. So if you have to do a walkthrough, not only are you looking at the inside, but you're also looking at the outside. And whether it's a
Absolutely.
Thank you. Whether it's a pre-owned home or whether it's a new construction, you treat it the same way. You do that same walkthrough, because for some reason, whenever there's a warranty, people get amnesia, or you find it the day after or the day of. Do that walkthrough. If you're a first time home buyer, please take your real estate agent with you. They are the experts to know the things to look for, because there's something that happens from the time there's an inspection, even an appraisal, and the time you actually go to closings. There's some weeks that are in between there, and you need to make sure that everything is as you expect it to be. So that's very
Yes,
important.
definitely. And even on new builds, quick story about new builds. I had some clients just because it was a new build that they They were kind of iffy about the inspection. They didn't know if they wanted to do the inspection because of a new build. And I told them, hey, you still want to get that home inspected. The reason why is because the builder, he's going to cover himself pretty much. He's going to cover himself as far as the building and how it's going in the process. You have a third party, your inspector, come in. He has nothing to do with anybody. He's there to do his job, find out what's wrong with it, and then he's out. He's gone. So it's still a very good idea to get a new build inspected too. Because, like I said, that builder, whoever he has building the home, they're going to cover themselves and they're going to say, "Hey, this is good. This is fine," when it's actually not. Um, we had that new build inspected. We went in there. Um, on the buyer side, we brought in our own inspector, and he found plenty of stuff wrong with it, even though it was a new build. So everything did get repaired and fixed because they were still in the process of building everything. But some of that stuff wouldn't have been caught if they didn't have bring in an inspector, their own inspector. So even with new builds, get an inspector.
Definitely. And this house that I purchased in 1996, there was a couple of outlets that didn't work, and it didn't work for some time. So had I put aside the money, 'cause I think it's like less than $500, that would have
Hmm.
saved me a whole lot of, because these inspectors, they do a very thorough job. Whether, again, whether it's an older home, a home, or a new build, I would definitely recommend, especially if you're going to live in that home, that's your investment, to take the time and set aside the money to have it inspected. This is very different from the appraisal. And that's something that I had to learn, that the inspection, the appraisal, I'm thinking, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Damon, but appraisals don't even have to be done on site. They could be sitting someplace else and do an appraisal, right? Or no?
Correct, they can. Some do it that way. They're not supposed to do it that way, but some it does happen that way. We call them. We had drive-by appraisals and stuff like that. The appraiser will just drive by and go off of the records or the information that he pulled from the neighborhood. Um, it happens, but yeah, it definitely has happened. But they should be going in and looking at the house too. But it definitely happens.
They're not going to be as thorough as that inspector. And
No.
even and I found out that even with the now with a new build, it comes with a warranty. But again, they get amnesia because they're like, well, you didn't catch that at closing or before closing. And again, that would have been noted. I'm a little sore about it, but I'm just trying to share with people that don't take for granted when you have a new build, because some contractors do take shortcuts, especially if they're building multiple houses. They will take
Hmm.
shortcuts. So you've got to be on top of it. That's your
Yeah,
investment.
they have timelines that they're trying to adhere to because those timelines come with money. Time is money on some of those bills, and also some of the warranties. Some of the warranties will have certain items are under protection for 1 year, and then the big ticket items are the 10-year warranties. But you got to pay close attention to what's in that 1 year because you definitely want to have them come back and fix what's needed to be fixed within that 1 year.
Yeah, I do remember signing a lot of things. And like you said, at closing, there's a lot of paperwork to sign, especially if you have a mortgage. And, everybody's so hyped up about the excitement of getting a new home, especially if you're a first time home buyer. But I think that's why it's so important to be lockstep with your realtor. Now, when I bought my first home, I didn't have a realtor. It's a new build, and it was a realtor on site. Well, guess who they're going to be looking out for? It's not
That
going to be
builder.
me. So,
Hmm.
that's even with a new build, you want to select a real estate agent that is going to be looking out for your best interests, because in most cases, it's the seller that pays the real estate agent, correct, Damon?
Correct.
So it's not
Correct.
like, it's coming out of your pockets, so to speak, but that agent is going to look out for your best interest. They've been doing it for multiple years. This is something that they do all the time. Whereas me, when I started out, it was the very first home I had bought in my entire life. And then there was like 20 years before I bought the next one. So it was like I was a new home buyer all over again. So um that this is wonderful information,
Absolutely,
Damon.
a lot does change, and that's a good point that you brought up too, as far as who pays who. Because I do have to break that down a lot. Because let's say you're on the buyer side, you are that buyer. A lot of people still don't realize that when you're on the buyer side, you're not necessarily paying that realtor. The realtor is getting paid through the transaction from the seller. Even though we represent you on the buyer side, we represent you as a buyer throughout the entire transaction, but we're still getting paid from that seller.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, focusing on the home that you plan to live in and making sure that your asset is protected is your focus. And that's why it's so important to get a real estate agent that you can trust. Now, Damon, I know that, Holland Homes team is um, out of South Carolina. Let's say that someone's in a different state, but we still need information from you, from Holland Homes team. How do we go about getting that information? How do we get in contact with Holland Homes team?
Well, different social media, of course. We have Holland Homes Team, Instagram, also business site on Facebook, NexGen site, different ways. My number is will be on this video. Information will be on this video also. And if you're in a different state, I do partner with other realtors through EXP, which is my brokerage company. I partner with other realtors in all states, so I can pretty much get you a realtor in any state. But let's say Maryland, for instance, I have realtors who I partnered with out there, also Virginia, and these are realtors that I know personally. So they definitely first ones I call in these states, North Carolina also, and Florida. So, but again, like I said, through my brokerage EXP, I can partner with a realtor from any state, pretty much anywhere. So it can still, and usually what I do with that is, let's say I get a phone call, somebody in Texas. What I will do is call the realtor that's in Texas in that area. I'll have a talk with them, pretty much interview that realtor before I send them the client, before I connect them with the client, just to make sure it's a good fit. So that's kind of how I operate with that.
Oh, great. That's wonderful. So it's not only, so if someone is thinking about a buying a house, or they're trying to decide whether it's more advantageous to rent as opposed to buy, is that something that Holland Homes team would help us with the process of deciding?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I talk about market information all the time, market updates, not only here in South Carolina, but I give you general information as far as what's going on in real estate nationwide, different trends and different interest rates and stuff like that. And then also, like I said, if you're in a certain area or you know which area you're going to, you want to go to, again, I will contact a realtor in that area and get market information specific to where you want to go, or specific to your question where you want to be. So definitely, I can get information from anywhere, pretty much anywhere, anytime.
Okay. Well, you pretty much spoiled me. That's why I'm asking all these questions. So once the person has gone through, okay, I've worked with Holland's Home Team, or one that you recommended, and we selected the home. We've gotten the appraisal, we've gotten the inspection, we've done all the contingencies, we've done all the negotiations. I've gotten the approval from the mortgage company. Everything's moving along and stuff like that. So would Holland's Home Team give us like a packet of information? Because with all these things going at us, we may miss a step. Like we may not know who to get as far as home security, or the utilities, especially if we're coming from another state. Like say,
Hmm.
I'm coming from Maryland, I'm coming to South Carolina. I don't know kind of the ins and outs, like vehicle registrations. Okay, that might be going a little too far, but the different things that I need to do. It kind of reminds me of when we were in the military and we go to a different place and we got this little
Get that
um
welcome packet.
yeah, yeah, the welcome
Yeah.
package, and it's like these are all the things you need to do. So
Hmm.
For
So
those that
yes,
don't know,
on that
we do have
note,
an Army veteran here, so
absolutely, absolutely. So on that note, yes, we still can. Like far as me, how I operate is I have a checklist of everything I go down. I share that checklist list with my clients if they want to see it. Sometimes they just have so much else, other stuff going on. They just want to be, hey, let me know when this is due or when that is due. But for me, I do have a checklist that I go down to make sure everything has been sent out to the correct people. Um, During the process, like you said, when we get to that step as far as who does the utilities. I can break out who the utility companies are in that area, send that to you, um, and it kind of goes in order. As realtors, we're not going to give you everything at one time because it's too much stuff. It's way too much stuff. We're going to give it to you in sections, piece by piece, in order as far as what's coming up, what you need to know next, what's getting ready coming up. Be on the lookout for this, this, and that, but we kind of just kind of walk you through the process. We don't want to throw everything at you because it's a lot from buying your house and still moving, and you still got to go to work. You still got kids. You still got the whole nine. So we kind of give it to you in pieces.
oh yeah, that reminds me. That's really good stuff because if you have children, especially school age children, you kind of want to know the proximity of where the school is, the school
Hmm.
bus, these types of things. So the proximity to work, public transportation, those types of things. And I guess that's in the process where we're talking to you and saying, hey, these are our needs. This is the kind of school district we want to be in, and those types of things. So that is wonderful.
Absolutely.
This is a
Definitely
lot of
a lot of that would be in the beginning. Like you said, those are my kind of intro questions. Where you want to be? Do you have kids? What types of middle school, elementary school you're looking for? Different stuff like that. I definitely ask how far do you want to be from work. All that stuff is like the intro. It helps me in the search. So yes, definitely. It's a long process in the beginning because I need to know what I need to search for and your needs. It helps me out a lot.
that is wonderful. That you've given us a lot of great information, and like I said before, Holland's Homes team has sponsored and provided the "So You Want to Buy a House" series. So for those of you that want to know from the beginning, from the time you decide that you want to purchase a home, we have like I said, 3 or 4 um, training sessions that you've done thus far
I
that
think
we have on the channel, right?
yeah, three or four seminars. Yeah,
Okay, well, this is a lot of wonderful information. I will again thank you so much. I will go ahead and leave you with the last word, sir.
I just want to say appreciate it. It's always coming. It's always good to come on and share this knowledge. What I've been doing for the last 5 years. I enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy working in the community, and most of all, is passing on this information and being a part of new homeowner story, helping them get in their home, seeing that excitement, getting their home, and even after they get in home, I still get calls from my clients all the time just to say hi, just to check up on them, or whatever the case may be. I definitely enjoy what I do. I like passing on the knowledge. So again, uh, NexGen, thanks for being a, thanks for letting me be a part of NexGen. I enjoy it, and we're going to continue on and do some big things.
Okay, everyone. Well, again, thank you so much. Mr. Damon, if you will stand by, we'll go ahead and end this broadcast. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments section and we will make sure that Holland Homes team gets that information. Again, thank you everyone and have a fantastic weekend. Good night.